If you were able to look through the perspective of a person who thinks the world is flat, you would see this. The North Pole is right here in the center. The continents splayed out over this plain. And here on the edges, you'd run into a 150-foot wall of ice, guarded by NASA employees with guns.
And how far that ice goes outwards. And when people try to go down there, they get turned away at gunpoint and put in prison.
The heavens are a dome that arcs over the flat Earth. The sun, the moon, the stars, they're all just little balls of light in the sky that move around just above the Earth's surface. There are loads of people who actually believe this. YouTube channels and Facebook pages, you'll see hundreds of thousands of followers. Google searches for the term flat Earth.
You mean truth seekers? Or those who have the ancient knowledge?
Earth proof over time look like this. It's become incredibly popular. And recently a poll showed that only 84% of Americans agree with the statement, "I have always believed the world is round." 84%. And if you're 18 to 24, that's more like 66%, which is like dangerously close to half. What is going on here?
Now the North Pole is the center of a deep ocean.
I'm sorry that we're not sheeple. I'm sorry that we're not liberal sheeple. We're goddamn free thinkers, globetards.
The South Pole is the center of a high plateau which averages 7,000 or 8,000 feet in altitude.
This is frustrating, and what's even more frustrating is every time I try to look into this and understand it, all I see...
It's literally social media. Let me answer the question right now. Social media and the little rabbit holes that you cultivate, or the little rabbit holes that artificial intelligence algorithms creates these sorts of communities on the internet and makes people radicalizes people down the content pipeline. In an effort to keep them on the platform for as long as possible, social media will turn them towards radicalization. That's the reason why all these conspiracy theories are so fucking rampant. Obviously, the real reason beyond it, though, is that conspiracy theories, much like religion, much like any other... The people who are saying, we get it, you watch Social Dilemma, are you insane? I am fascinated with conspiracy theories, and I am a social media influencer. I talk about this literally all the time. It's like a big part of the reason why I do what I do. Is to de-radicalize some people and de-escalate and try to offer people an alternate solution than what they've gotten so far. What I was trying to say is conspiracy theories sub to 9/11 12 months ago.
11th of September 12 months ago.
Conspiracy theories offer context
and lied
to people. It's like believing in like a pagan god at a time when you did not understand what the sun was and thinking that the sun was a god. And then science offered you more context. Okay? Centuries of data working on top of one another and societal development allowed you to comprehend certain things. And slowly but surely, the amount of incomprehensible truths that are impossible to contextualize as a human being got smaller and smaller. Now we have afterlife, death, life, meaninglessness or meaningfulness of existence. Those sorts of things are still gigantic holes in your brain that are still contextualized by religion. But as far as the daily monotony, as far as your daily life, there are still so many things that happen worldwide, devastating events like coronavirus or 9/11, literally today, the secrets surrounding it. Why did it happen? Something so devastating as 9/11, like why did it happen? And then the government doesn't tell me exactly why it happened and it doesn't make sense. That is where conspiracy theories come in. That's where they come into play. Just like religion, it offers you a chance to contextualize things that you cannot comprehend otherwise. The execution of the assassination of JFK, another thing. Jeffrey Epstein's suicide murder.
His coverage of like flat earther conventions and like interviews with these people.
We absolutely know for a fact this ain't it.
These interviews are interesting, but I want to understand like how someone with a thinking brain can actually get behind this. What is this actual belief? Where does it come from? And how do potentially millions of people believe that the earth is flat?
The water is completely flat, for as far as we can see and as far as we've measured, and the horizon is completely flat.
I'm in Mexico now. I've been sitting on the beach reading everything there is to read about the history of people who believe the earth is flat. And there's one thing that I just had to try for myself.
This is a simple experiment that anybody can conduct to determine definitely that the earth is flat. Grab a spirit level and take it on the plane with you.
117. Found this hardware store, bought myself a level. Gracias, amigo.
One of the stranger things you've ever done.
And I'm bringing it with me on the airplane. I'm gonna do some of this empirical science myself.
If you are to fly on a non-rotating Earth, please explain what kind of experience will a pilot really have?
The logic goes that if the Earth is round and I'm flying thousands of miles, which I'm about to do, then the airplane will have to be tipped a little bit the whole time in order to make it around the curvature of the Earth.
The plane should be constantly dipping its nose forward in order to compensate for the curvature.
Show me some planes doing this.
I would be able to see the tilt of the airplane if I put my newly...
What is this actually? Dude, oh my God. I love flat earthers, but I didn't even recognize that this was one way that they justify it.
purchased level on the tray table in front of me.
I'm going to take my spirit level onto the plane.
If my tool shows me that the plane is totally level,
That's proof that the earth is flat.
let's go see what happens.
First of all, it won't even be leveled the entire time, like, because what if you're in a turbulent region or area? Like, what happens when the plane is doing this? You know what I mean? Gravity fake? No, I'm talking about, okay, so the level operates off of gravity, but there's still, like, if the plane moves, so would your level, right? Like if the plane went like this and you were holding your level straight, wouldn't you be technically moving this way, and therefore I guess the bubble wouldn't move, right? Or would it move? I feel like it would move. I don't know. This scuffed explanation is making me want to become a flat earther. Okay, chill the fuck out. Let's see what happens. You wouldn't get it.
Can somebody explain to me duty free? Why perfume? Why is there so much perfume in duty free? 4 hours on an airplane, and I'm back. My little level experiment worked wonderfully. The bubble stayed nice and center. Turns out the plane was not dipping its nose in order to make it around the Earth. This is explained by the basics of gravity and physics. This video is not a debunk of flat Earth theory. That doesn't need to happen. That should.
Yeah. Video sponsored by NASA. I see you, soy boy. I see you, soy boy. You coming in here with the debunking of my flat Earth level theory.
Need to happen. What this is my fascination with the fact that there is lots of people, let's put it this way, a non-zero number of humans who think the world is flat, and they work really hard to prove it. I want to understand what sorts of tools are being used to prove the world is flat. So
I just, like, for me, you don't even need to think beyond, like, you know, believing in scientists or anything like that. But if you were to really think about it, like, why this would be a secret, it literally makes no sense. Like, why would there be an international conspiracy amongst the scientific community to just, like, keep the Earth flat? That's the worst part. Like, there is literally no rhyme or reason to the flat Earth conspiracy, which is why it's the worst but also the most fascinating one for someone like myself. At least like with
there's some whores in this house.
At least like with Jews control the media or whatever, you still have like an out group, right? And their goal is like world domination or something. You know what I mean? Like Nazis like try to tie it all together. It's still a psychotic conspiracy, but you can still like kind of understand where they're coming from. But with like flat earth, which also is of course anti-Semitic, ironically, because every fucking conspiracy theory goes back to Jews and anti-Semitism. Like there's no reason to use that as a method of control. They're keeping a secret from us. Like they'll say NASA's keeping this as a secret. The Earth is actually flat, and they're keeping it as a secret. And you're like, okay, but why? To control us. But like, why wouldn't they control us any other way? If I know what the secret is, and you don't, or you don't know what the secret is, that's that's how they control us.
Here we go. I wonder if I can get some really dramatic, like, conspiracy theory lighting going on here. I'm seeing all the evidence. What if the Earth actually is flat? The plane wasn't dipping. The level was flat. Okay, I'm kidding. Let's get into this. I've been in the weeds learning about the flat Earth experience, what people believe and why, and where it all came from. And here's what I've learned. Number one, flat earthers have become a thing just in the past couple hundred years. So by like 205 BC, you've got these really smart Greek people making experiments that are like observing a globe-shaped Earth. Over the next several centuries, eventually this would just become the widespread thing among anyone who was doing experimentation on the world. And eventually, nobody believed the Earth was flat. Even in like the medieval times, like it was a consensus that the Earth was a globe. So in short, flat earthers weren't a thing during this time. Even though literally in elementary school, I was taught that Christopher Columbus and like his voyage was somehow to prove that the Earth was round or maybe it was flat, and that there was like some debate around that. That's actually a total legend, and I have no idea why I was taught that in elementary school. How did that happen? I actually am genuinely curious. Like, how did that happen? The fact is, Christopher Columbus, the Catholic Church, the Spanish patrons, no one thought the Earth was flat. But then, they became a thing. Any sort of flat...
Wait, what? I feel like I was taught that as well in Turkey. That's kind of weird. Wait a minute. Are we having like a collective brain fart? Wait, are the flat earthers correct? If they've been keeping this a secret, what else are they keeping a secret from us? Oh no.
Flat earther movement didn't actually come around, ironically, until science was really starting to heat up. During the mid-1800s, a huge amount of scientific breakthrough was happening. The scientific method was taking off, and huge breakthroughs in biology, physics, anatomy, and mathematics were taking place. But at the time, there were also people who were becoming uncomfortable with how advanced scientific methods were getting. These guys were like, hold on a second, you have all these fancy new tools to inquire into the world and to understand reality, but these tools are getting like too sophisticated and too abstract and theoretical. They're becoming too disconnected from like what I can see and understand and touch and feel. They wanted to bring science back to what it had been for a really long time, which is that like a person goes out, uses simple tools like a telescope to look at the world and to make conclusions about how the world works. So it's the 1800s, science is like having its time, and you have these guys, usually from like the US and the UK, who want to throw out this growing body of like amazing advancements in science, and they start to do experiments. Here's what those experiments look like. So it's the summer of 1838. England, up in the county of Cambridgeshire, which literally sounds like a place in The Lord of the Rings. So it's the summer of 1838, and the atom had just been discovered, and the Doppler effect is like being fleshed out. And then you've got this guy. His name is Samuel Rowbotham, but he goes by the pseudonym Parallax, which is actually a pretty dope name. Like if I were a DJ, I would totally go with like
Parallax.
Anyway, Parallax decides, even though all this science is happening, he thinks it's time to reopen up the debate about whether or not the Earth is a globe, which was like literally settled thousands of years earlier. But he's like, no.
Let's do it.
And he finds this canal system that is incredibly straight. This canal goes on for almost 10 kilometers, like 6 miles of just a straight line. This guy says, if the Earth is a globe, and people say it's 25,000 miles in circumference, then if I look at a straight line, after the first mile, the curvature of the Earth would mean that the canal would now be 8 inches lower. After 2 miles, it would be 32 inches lower. After 3 miles, 72 inches lower, meaning like 6 feet, almost 2 meters, and so on. So he thinks eventually the dip from the curvature of the Earth would be so great that you could easily observe it. So he gets in the water, he puts a telescope right above the surface of the water, and then puts a boat on the canal.
Oh my God. This is literally what flat earthers still use as a justification. Oh my God. Oh, that's so sad, dude.
With a 1 meter tall post on it. So what he wants to see is if the Earth is curved, if it's a globe, this post will start to disappear over the horizon. So he does it. The boat goes away, it goes the entire 6 miles of the canal, and it stays in sight the entire time. It doesn't dip over the horizon. And he's stoked. He's like, man, I just proved that the Earth is flat. And I did it with a telescope and a boat. Like, screw you, science. Like, I'm making breakthroughs right here in Cambridgeshire. And then he writes this book, where he fleshes out this experiment and several others that he does. But wait, this experiment's like kind of legit, right? Like, it adds up. Like, his...
That's so sad. Dude, oh my God. Imagine thinking you did something. Like, you did something, dude. Oh, that makes me kind of sad, dude. He's like, oh, I'm going to go home and write a whole book about this. And then everyone's like, oh, fuck are you doing?
His numbers were all correct about the circumference and the dip of the curvature. Like, why didn't it dip? Like, why was the boat still in sight? There's nothing wrong with this experiment. Parallax got that great name. Maybe he was onto something. No, this is stupid. This is like a 3rd grade science experiment in your backyard. This experiment doesn't take into account how the natural world actually works and how light behaves and refracts based on the different air densities. This is like stuff that people already figured out, and like Parallax is sitting there getting wet in a canal, like trying to observe this on his... No, this does not prove anything. But Parallax didn't want to hear any of this. He didn't want to talk about atmospheric refraction and air density and how light behaves in different media. Too complicated, too abstract. You can't touch and feel that stuff. Instead, Parallax sees science and observing reality as a much simpler task. In his book, he says, nature speaks to us in a peculiar language. In the language of phenomena, she answers at all times the questions which are put to her. Just like go out and like put a question to Mother Nature and she'll answer it. As scientific methods become more sophisticated, they become harder for you and me to understand. Parallax and his canal experiments are a reaction to all of this. They are a call for a simplification of scientific methods and a return of the senses as the primary force for understanding reality. He called his method of reductionist pseudoscience the zetetic method. He says that honesty of thought is to look at truth in the face, not the side face, but the...
Why is it that people like this just always sound Republican?
Full front. Like, just like look at it, go out and observe it for yourself. He was among several scientists and mathematicians at the time who were on this train of let's use really simplified reductionist math and science to prove that the Earth is actually flat. This argument of the flat Earth flickered for a little bit in the 1800s, gained a little bit of traction, but then eventually it died out until just a few years ago.
I refuse to be another vegetable. Pseudoscience garbage will to me be unacceptable. Anyone with eyes to see don't have...
By the way, I'm doing a podcast with Andrew. Andrew's doing his new podcast. I'm gonna be doing that soon. Oh, also with Virgil and Bree as well. It's unrelated to Andrew's podcast, but yeah, 2 podcasts coming up. Yeah, 2 appearances, boys.
Have to be susceptible, dispose of your globe in the nearest waste receptacle.
There is no curvature to this earth, there is no motion to this earth.
If you just accept the globe model with no understanding of the flat and no clear evidence for the ball earth, do you see the problem there?
Flat earthers are back, and their methods are very similar to what Parallax was doing in the 1800s.
And this is data. This is repeatable, observable.
Bro, light bends. Parallax, stop doing witchcraft. That's witchcraft!
Measurable.
If you take the time to learn, you will change your mind. There's no doubt. The only reason people think they live on a spinning ball.
What is fucking... the video. This is my favorite kind of video. Flat Earth proof. Nikon P900 boat and buoy in far distant horizon. No drop. And the channel's called Zooming In on Stuff. Zooming in. Just me zooming in on stuff. Hey, welcome back to Zooming In on Stuff. I'm here zooming in on stuff. I'm so stupid. Oh, the thing that's like so sad is that they work so hard. Like they work so hard to be like, yo, this is real. And it just makes no sense. Oh, man.
All is willful ignorance.
They're still zooming into horizons, but now they have hordes of visual stuff to play around with. They now have airplanes. They now have satellite imagery to play around with. They now have the moon landing to dissect. And now they're taking levels onto airplanes, like I did.
Your plane can't go upside down. Here's the thing, globe hugger.
Like the flat earthers in the 1800s, the flat earthers today want to use their own intuition and senses to understand reality. And in the process, they reject and ignore the huge body of science that we all live with today.
So people that have physics degrees, astronomy degrees, they got their degree by regurgitating what their teacher or the books told them.
Instead of trigonometry and telescope.
Did he just describe education? Doesn't he think that that's like, I mean, that's pretty much the basis of Woke Town. Former NASA Cindy Holland interview with Flat Earth. I mean, that's literally how we learn. That's just education across the board. The collective knowledge that we work that we work from.
Regurgitating what their teacher or the books told them.
Instead of trigonometry and telescopes and canals, the flat earthers today use videos and photos circulated on the internet.
The
doctors just say where your organs are because they read that's where they are. Well, hey, guess what, libtard? You ever open yourself up and take a look? No. How do you know? The only time you've seen where your esophagus is in movies. You don't know where your tummy is. You don't know where your heart is. Okay, that's, by the way, there's some real sickos out there. Obviously, do not do that. Obviously, do not try to fucking figure out what your organs look like. I can send you so many of these kinds of videos and channels, like this dude in Mud Fossil University who basically thinks all rocks are actually pieces of ancient giants. What?
Oh, you're such a big Hello, everybody. It's Roger once again, Mud Fossil University. This was in a video from Brian Forrester, who was in Egypt, and this is a mummy, but it's a mummy inside of a statue. Now, it appears, because I found more of these. See these? These are the ribs. That's where the lung was, and that's, I think the liver is right there. Now, this was coded, and it's all inscribed with all their hieroglyphs and all that stuff. It's one of these regular, gigantic-looking statues that you see, and nobody's really paid that close attention to. But Brian saw this. He says, very strange weathering. Well, that's not strange weathering. That's a body. inside of that statue. Now, I just got something from a friend, Bonnie, and this is the beauty of Mud Fossil University. I have more eyes than anybody in the whole world, and they send me things right away when I start asking questions, and they come up with answers. And here's what she sent me. Now, I get these all the time. People say, oh, go look at this one, go look at that one. Now, this is Egypt discover a new Colossus. Now, I saw this 2 years ago or so when it was first discovered. I think it was discovered in 2017. And they dug it up as they were excavating downtown. I think it's...
Wait, this is post 2017? Why does it look like this dude is using, like... What is this? Is it a Linux? What is this software that he's using? This guy has to be smart. This guy has to be smart. He's a Linux user, I'm telling you. He's running Ubuntu. Wait, why the f does Linux look like it's still back in 1994, dude? He thinks the Sahara Desert is a dragon? Why didn't you start off with that?
Once again, Mud Fossil University, we're going to be talking about Atlantis and some floods and all kinds of things, and then it'll eventually lead us to the KT boundary. Now, this is Atlantis according to Herodotus and Solon and Plato and history. Now, what happened was Atlantis collapsed in here. If you read Plato's Timaeus, it tells all about this. And there was a strait up here that split and it dropped, and all of this ran out, and I am talking about tons and tons. So, as a matter of fact, Plato said they will never speak of mud running again because there was so much that ran out, and it created, I believe, the Cape Verde Islands. So here's where it ran off. This is what I'm saying, I'm pretty sure. Now, out there, and you see some mud and all ran out of here. And at one time this was ocean because Sahara. They say it was ocean because they found all kinds of skulls of whales and all kinds of things. Well, I also know there's other things here in this desert, and one of them is a dragon. And here it is right here. And the reason I say it's a dragon is because let's start at his tail, which is way out here. And let's go in and look at this, and I'm going to say that is a dragon-scaled tail, and this right here is extreme amounts of effluence running off his tail, and they only run down to this far away. That is the amount of degradation and decomposition that's happened since this dragon died in this desert. Now, so let's go back, and you say, well, it can't be a dragon. Well, let's see, maybe it isn't.
Maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't. So he's open-minded. He's open-minded. Guess what?
Back up his tail, which I'm saying is tail. And if you keep going in here, there's more dragon scales. Here's his legs. Both his legs. All this runoff is from his dying, decaying, decomposing ferrous oxide running out of his body. Up here is his guts. This is his back and his wings or whatever they are up in here. Now let's just go in here to his neck. So if we just go right into his neck, let's just start there because otherwise we're here all day. Now, we go in here, and you see all these dragon scales all the way up. Now, we're in his neck, and we're running.
Isn't this just like wind and like erosion and runoff? And that's how you have like mountains and this sort of pattern? Okay, nope, my community says it's a dragon. Okay, sorry. Anyways, about a whole bunch of shungite rocks. You know what shungite is? Anybody know what shungite is? No, it's Dr. Disrespect said that. And then he got banned.
Are you trying to get banned?
No, I'm not trying to get banned. Okay, also, it's a joke. This is something that conspiracy psychos decided was going to block out 5G waves. Why are you so scared to hold it?
I'm not scared, dude. What is it?
Well, you literally like grabbed it like this, your whole body. It's just a rock, and it's.
Is it a crystal? What is this?
No, it's just like a regular rock. Originally, it's like charcoal. What?
Is it granite?
No, it's shungite. You put them around the La Casa. It blocks out 5G waves.
I can't tell which parts you're serious and which parts you're fucking with.
Okay, shungite is like actually the rock, but obviously it doesn't block out 5G radio waves.
Don't know, man.
Anyway.
I was about to say it causes cancer. It really does.
5G radio waves are being blocked. No, it causes COVID.
Yeah, I know. That's what I meant to say. But
Yeah.
I said it causes cancer by mistake.
Yeah, it's just carbon. Asking about the plane and level argument. Oh, true. Hey, come here. You globe cuck. By the way, this is not a joke. When he brought me into the Boeing facility, I yelled at all of his coworkers about how they were hiding the truth about the flat Earth. This is real. That's a real thing that I did.
We went to an actual satellite factory.
We went to a satellite factory, and I yelled at all of his bosses about how they were hiding the truth about how the Earth is flat.
There's a state-of-the-art satellite like 10 feet away from you. It's
Yeah, state-of-the-art satellite. Yeah, you mean metal thing that you put on top of a balloon? Okay, bro. Yeah, I know better. All right, come here. You have a level. You've used a level before.
Dude, you know my
Yeah. Have you ever brought a level on a plane? No, you can. Yeah, you have to bring a level to a plane. You have to bring a level with you on a plane, and that proves that the Earth is flat, because the plane would tilt if the Earth wasn't flat, and they never tilt, so it's flat.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, just don't ask too many questions. Just do it next time you fly. Okay, shut up. Owned. Here, look, I'll show you.
Amigo.
One of the stranger things you've ever done.
Myself. Bringing it with me on the airplane. I'm gonna do some of this empirical science myself.
If you are to fly
He's making fun of him.
on a non-rotating Earth, please explain what kind of experience will a pilot really have?
The logic goes that if the Earth is round and I'm flying thousands of miles, which I'm about to do, then the airplane will have to be tipped a little bit the whole time in order to make it around the curve.
Fucking have an answer for this. You don't. You've been exposed the entire time. You were like, I'm working on satellites.
First of all,
You were literally working on nothing. I've found you out, dude.
Temperature of the Earth.
Look, this guy has a miniature Earth globe thing.
level means tangential, and if you continue on a tangential trajectory, well, continue tangentially the entire time, you're still going to see level and you're going to move forward. But
Fuck. Don't use big words, dude, like tangential trajectory, dude. Get out of here. Yeah. Well, this guy has a big ass little baby globe and a massive plane.
I would be able to see the tilt of the airplane if I put my newly purchased level on the tray table in front of me.
I'm going to take accuracy in that level is nowhere near high enough, even if his theory was to be true, to support that.
What are you trying to say? Wait, are you an anti-level guy? Because then we can agree. I think levels
I
are.
know you have very passionate feelings.
No, I think levels are lying to us as well. So thank you. You're right about that. At least
You know why?
see, this is
Tim Bergen, right?
this is how
He
you.
tried to expose the truth by his song Levels.
Oh my God, that's such a bad joke. Oh Jesus Christ. He said they killed Avicii because he was exposing the truth about levels. For those of you who didn't hear. And that's not how gravity works. Does Marat find the flat earthers entertaining?
Wait, did I tell you that on my first date with Sammy, I told her like with a straight face that I was a flat earther, and then like I went like on explaining why it was true for the longest time. She's like, "Oh my God, who's this psycho? I'm leaving."
This is why I'm profoundly grateful that you have a girlfriend that you've been dating for as long as you have. Because of that sort of stuff. They killed Lil Peep too, Marat. Yeah, do you know why they killed Lil Peep?
Why?
Well, that's because he was a communist, but that's different.
Are you coming with me? Feed my fantasy. Are you coming with me? Feed my fantasy.